So the first question I have, are you John or are you Jonathan? It's just
I wish I had a solid answer for that. It's Jonathan. I go by professionally. It takes up more space. It is my given name. I swear to God, at every like phase of my life, there are people who know me as John and who are like, "Who's Jonathan?" And then people who know me as Jonathan are like, who's John?" And so most people call me Sadoff. I made that very complicated. Let's go with John.
okay. Well, Sadoff, thank you for taking
Yeah.
the time. And so many things I want to ask you about prior work you did, but of
Yeah.
course we were set up by the team behind the Chimp Crazy soundtrack. When did you actually finish work on Chimp Crazy?
Like 3 weeks ago.
Really?
About 2 months ago, actually, realistically. Um, Maybe a little bit more, but very recently. And it was kind of all still unfolding, which was which was really interesting. And so we were able to, yeah, literally they mixed. We premiered it mid-August. So yeah, it was in July. It was in July. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not that, I'm not exaggerating that much. We really just finished it.
Well, did you know all along that there's going to be the vinyl release?
No, not until you know, we discussed it as we got closer, and I was like, "Oh man, that'd be great." And then it actually came together, and then, it was, I mean, I couldn't be more excited about it. It's a really special thing to be able to do. So it's my first final release. Um,
Yeah.
I think my old band put out a vinyl. I wasn't really
New
part
number
of
two you're talking about?
it. I think we put out a vinyl, but I wasn't a part of it. So it's just been really cool to, like, you know, produce a record, a physical record. It's been too long. It's very feels important.
Well, that old band was the first time I really heard your work. And then you go back and you go, oh, this guy scored one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, The Mick,
Ah,
and Dollface you did, which I also enjoyed.
cool.
What exactly was the transition from being band guy and sideman to composer?
I started scoring. I studied composition at USC in college, and so I actually, um, I've made these jumps sort of back and forth, and kind of always straddled both worlds. So I grew up playing guitar and grew up on blues and rock, and then I sort of
Mhm.
went in, some people grow up and they study classical piano or violin, and then I kind of did the opposite. And so I grew up on like blues and rock, and then the more that and it was all guitar. It was just guitar all day long. And the more that I learned, the more interested in I just loved everything. And so when I was in college, I studied composition, and I got really into orchestration, and my friends were making films, and they were like, "Hey, we need music for our film." And I was like, "That sounds like something I could do." And I was like, "Well, that actually sounds like a job." Like, yeah, let's do that. So, yeah, and then after college, it was a little bit of both, but I had a time where I was like, "Oh, if I'm gonna join a band and go and do this, it's probably good to do it now."
Mhm.
And I'm really glad I did. And so, um, yeah, just kind of, like to have a hand in both kind of worlds whenever possible. But these days, definitely, it's pretty much all scoring. So, which I'm no complaints.
When I interviewed your bandmate Danny
Yeah,
pre-pandemic, he mentioned Iron Maiden being one of the bands that inspired him early on. So when you say guitar, did you
yeah,
start off with hard rock?
kinda. I mean, like, I was, well, incidentally, I was like, my earliest influences were, and when he and I first met, I was like, I'm just gonna get it on the table. My guys, my dudes are Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, George Harrison. Like, basically, like, the traveling Wilburys are like and the Beatles and Nilsson, and like I was like, I just want to put it out there that I can't hide it. And he's like, oh, me too. And I was like, all right, cool. He's like, they're the shit. Those are my favorite too. I was like, all right, cool. All right, we're good. Um, and then I was a total metalhead in high school, and like a shredder, and then so I got really into metal, and then that was kind of my, yeah, it's kind of my gateway into classical music, actually.
But
So
there may or may not be a Wilburys poster hidden behind that plant. Can't confirm nor deny.
deny, yep, yep. I
But
take your
I'm
word.
finding these days that most of the people scoring film and TV were major label guys,
Mhm.
sidemen, and hard rock influenced people. So do you know, for example, Jeff Cardoni?
Yeah, I do. I like Jeff. Yeah, he's a good guy. I like Jeff a lot.
He could probably play the whole Eat 'em and Smile album on guitar. So
Yeah.
that's the thing that I'm finding, that a lot
Yeah.
of the scoring people, they went from
Chris
hard
Leonard,
rock to classical.
a lot of guy, Chris Leonard's. I don't know if he was a metal guy, but he and I were both in the studio jazz guitar program at SC at different times. But there is a definite Trevor Rabin, bring it
Yep.
back. Um, um, oh,
Fred
there's
Curry.
Brad Curry. I don't
Fred
know.
Curry was in Cinderella, and I know
Oh, hell yeah.
I think he scored the Gene Simmons reality show, and then that led to other
Epic.
gigs. But long story short, it used to be back in the day that the scoring people were purely classical, and now it's
Yes.
people who could do pop and
Yeah.
then also classical if they want to smarten it up. So that
Hmm.
seems like your path, where you learned how to do a bit of everything from USC.
I did. I did. I was like a sponge, and it was great. I just was like, oh, there's all this cool stuff. Like guitar is great, but my hand hurts and my back hurts already, and I'm 19, and I should probably not be in such bad shape already. So, no, it was great. I loved it. I had some professors who were like, "Oh, you're serious. You're not just messing around." I'm like, "No, no, I really, really want to know everything." And I really immersed myself in the language and just the history and the um, traditional orchestration and counterpoint and just and then understanding where jazz kind of the era where that kind of came together, and the Gershwins and Mancini's, and that kind of like just light bulb for me was like that, the meeting of all those things. So yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a big nerd.
Well, highbrow and lowbrow, that's really what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
So, back to you and your career path. Some composers I speak with have five projects going on at the same time, and then others, no, they're one at a time because they're actually doing everything themselves. Which one are you of those
So
two?
I've done both. It's hard. It's really a hard thing to scale, and I end up for better or worse, when I write themes and when I kind of get my hands on something and I end up playing a lot of the instrument. When I'm writing, I end up usually just pulling stuff down and playing stuff and figuring it out. And for better or worse, like my limitations and all that stuff, it ends up kind of sounding like my take on whatever. And it's hard for me I have to sort of come at it from a different angle, or come at it from if I am gonna do a bigger ambitious project where I am gonna have multiple writers, which I also like to do because I really like collaborating, and that's
Hmm.
kind of a thing too. I love working in I love having a crew. I love doing big films and having, six orchestrators going and three music editors and four engineers and the scoring mix. I mean, it drives me crazy and I love it. And having having additional writers on is you have to be able to sort of get keep up, right? Keep up with the demands. So and so I don't know if that answers your question, but I do um I I I do like to jump around. I like to write something and get the idea down and then flesh it out, jump to another thing. And so yeah, I love when when there's like kind of constant energy like that. Um, but I
Mhm.
am a dad now, and so it has changed a little bit, and it's like, it's a new challenge and wanting to be not uh not making music 18 hours a day is a thing. So that's
That
that
that makes sense.
it's hard. It's hard. And it's feast or famine. It's hard to say no, right? I mean, it's just, but I think it's important to know your strengths and weaknesses, and I think I'm always learning that.
Hmm.
And I was trying to find out, like, do I want to do this because I want the challenge and I like the idea and it sounds great? Am I good for this? Is this what I should be doing right now? So I'm just kind of doing my best, I guess.
You are, and Chimp Crazy is an old project for you. For us, it's a new project because we didn't have access to it for a long, long time. But IMDb says that your next project is Sweethearts. Is that correct, or is that fake news?
No, no, that's real news. It's coming out in November, which I'm really excited about. Really excited about. And I'm reteaming with the direct the my friend who directed it, created Dollface, and she's a dynamo, and she got this, she directed this film, and um, and it's really good, and I'm really glad they're putting it out, and yeah, I think that'll be November, also on Max. So yeah, I hope.
And any band stuff, or is that you're way too busy in jumping from film and TV project to film and TV project?
Um, you know, I wish I'd like to say yes because I'm I want to, but not at the moment. Not at the
Got it.
moment. TBD.
TBD. But if we keep checking your Instagram and your IMDb, that's how we'll know what's coming out and
Yeah,
what
I'm
we're
trying to
not
be a
to.
little bit yeah, and I'm trying to be a little bit better about posting and actually being I'm like I'm getting over my Luddite phase. Although I think it was probably a healthy detachment from social media for a little while, and now I'm like, all right, it's part of the deal. I gotta do that. But yeah, and I have a bunch of stuff I've been filming myself in this studio, and just kind of filming the process of making Chimp Crazy. And there's another studio here, and there's
Hmm.
all this weird, cool stuff here. And I played a lot of this stuff live, and I was like, I'm just gonna hit record and see if there's any good stuff. And then the Chimp Crazy crew sent a camera, a couple people down, and they filmed me doing some stuff. And so that's about as close to like a performance as I have on tap for the moment. But it's not, it's it's something. Um, so yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be posting stuff like that, which will be fun.
Well,
So,
last question I've got for
yeah,
you, being mindful
sure.
of your time. What's the last concert that you went to for fun, not because you had to or you were going to be guesting on a song or anything like that?
Beck with the LA Philharmonic at the Hollywood Bowl. It was uh, out of this world. It was absolutely just, I get the chills thinking about it. Uh, the records he did, and Sea Change,
Hmm.
and Morning View. I'm blanking on the name of the record.
Morning View was Incubus. I know which one you're talking about.
Sorry, you know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah, the one a Golden Age, or the one with Golden Age, or was that Sea Change? Whatever it is, the one with
That's Sea Change.
Tropicalia. Um,
Um, I'm butcher now. I feel like a jerk because I'm back.
well, hey, I don't know his whole
Morning
disc.
phase, morning phase. Okay, I wasn't. Okay, because there's yeah, Blue Moon. Okay, yeah, that record's got like some great orchestration on it, but for sure, Sea Change, and like even Mutations, and Midnight Vultures, some of those huge arrangements that his dad did, and his
Hmm.
dad, I looked over and his dad was sitting two boxes down, and I was like, oh my God. And he was so
David
proud,
Campbell.
and he was just like, yeah, David Campbell's legend.
Yeah.
And I just that Sea Change in particular came out, when I was in college.
Hmm.
Is it '02? And it imprinted on me. '02, 2002. And it's right when I moved to LA. And it's just, it was a time in my life that it will always just hold so much space in my heart. And so to hear that record live with the LA Phil was magic. And he had Justin Meldal Johnson and Joey Waronker and um, uh, um, Roger Manning Jr., I think. I mean, just,
Yeah.
you know,
Guys themselves who are also people who are scoring film and TV
yeah.
projects.
Hmm.
So the key is you're a great person watching great people. So
Well, I appreciate that I appreciate just being in the same sentence as some of those guys. So they're legends. They're amazing.
there you
Um,
go.
yeah.
But thank you
Thank
for
you. Yeah.
the decades of great work, and looking forward to whatever's coming next, whether you're the featured artist, the composer, the multi-instrumental, whatever it is. Sadoff, thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Paltrocast.